Brown for his comments.
Thank you, Ms. Wheeler. All right, well, welcome. Thank you all that are in attendance and all that are watching online. A few announcements. I want to congratulate our Parks and Rec department yesterday. We had a beautiful ribbon cutting at the new Gum Springs Park. Mr. Sanders, Mr. Johnson were there celebrating that ribbon cutting and the partnership between our county commission and our Board of Education, and what a beautiful park that turned out to be, and excited to have that in our community so that our young people and others can participate and enjoy those facilities. This week is National Pre-K Week, so I know a number of our leaders have had the opportunity to read to our pre-K students this week, as well as we've had a number of our pre-K students do different types of activities. Had an opportunity to read to some pre-K kids over the last few days, 2 or 3 times. You get better at it the more times that you do it. And pre-K kids is inadequate at best because they ran all over me. So thank you to those teachers and the hard work that they do each and every day to take care of our pre-K kids. We have reached fall break as a school district. We will have tomorrow as a teacher work day, and next week will be fall break. So excited for our students and our teachers to have an opportunity to breathe as we head into the second part of the first semester. Next Monday, we will not have a board meeting during fall break. It will be October 17th, and Gum Springs will be highlighted during that board meeting and given the presentation. On October the 19th, at West Jackson Elementary School, Richard Woods, our state school superintendent, rescheduled that visit, and he'll be at West Jackson Elementary at 1 o'clock on that day for anybody who would like to come out and welcome him. And then on November 3rd, we're really excited to have our Teacher of the Year and Support Person of the Year banquet at this facility. It'll be over in our Student Center at 6 p.m. We'll have the opportunity to celebrate with our Teachers of the Year and our Support Personnel of the Year. Will be a great night for our school district. Also want to give you some updates on some things that we have going on with kids, especially at our secondary level right now. Just a lot of things going on at this time right now. West Jackson Middle School is playing in the middle school championship game at Jackson County High School. They kicked off this afternoon at 5:30. The Panthers are undefeated this season, and they defeated Winder Barrow last week in a semifinal game in front of a large crowd at West Jackson Middle School. And on Monday of this week, our West Jackson Middle School softball team played in the championship game of the middle school tournament. The result wasn't exactly what we wanted, but a very bright future ahead for Lady Panthers softball. Our Jackson County marching band and competition cheerleading teams won their first competitions of the season. The Jackson County High School band was named the grand champion at the Oconee Classic at Baldwin High School on the 24th, and competition cheer won their competition at North Forsyth. So huge deal for our band community to be grand champions at that event, as well as our competition cheer winning at North Forsyth. Little one-act play is going to be at Jackson County High School this year. They're doing the Little Shop of Horrors. They'll compete in the region meet at Jackson County High School on October 27th, and the Class 6A state championship will be held at Buford on November 12th. So excited about those fine arts opportunities for our students. Girls cross country and boys cross country at Jackson County High School are also going well. Currently, the girls are in second place in region 8 6A, and the boys are in 5th. And Erin O'Brien, one of our student athletes at Jackson County High School, is ranked 1st in the region. And she recently broke the school record in a 5K by nearly 30 seconds. Volleyball team at Jackson County High School is also doing really well, 34-3. Season school record for most wins in a season. And they're going to be the number 2 seed in the region tournament coming up. East Jackson Comprehensive High School football team has won 4 games in a row. First time since 2009. It's the most wins in a season so far since 2016. And the Eagles have defeated their past 4 opponents by a combined score of 161-41. And they host Fellowship Christian this Friday night at 7:30, which is really exciting. It's been great turnouts for all of our events for our student athletes. The Eagles cross country teams are doing really well. Both teams are currently ranked 9th in the state in AA, and they'll run in the Region 8 meet at October 27th at Athens Academy. East Jackson's one-act play will be at Union County, and so The showcase will feature the competition show Our Place and another one-act typecast. So one-act play season is upon us, and great things happening there. Our East Jackson High School Marching Band, the Pride of the East Side, is going to participate in their first competition on October 22nd at Strong Rock Christian. The Eagles did host 8 bands in a competition on September 24th, and the event was a massive success. Competition cheer at East Jackson will compete on October 22nd at Commerce, and then our East Jackson High School volleyball team is playing in the area tournament during fall break. And so, as you can see, lots of things going on, lots of students involved, and that's really what we want to see, and really proud of all of the efforts from our staff that make those opportunities available to our kids. So, with that said, that's all I have for my report this evening.
Good evening, board members. How are you? I have just a few data slides to update you with, and these have been plugged into our balanced scorecard, which we shared with you earlier in the year, those are the metrics we are using to keep track of ourselves, our progress, and know where to place our focus as we continue to do this work. So the first number to share with you is our graduation rate. Thank you, Miss Martha, for putting this together for us. And if you take a look at those, we've got those broken down by East Jackson High School, Jackson County High School, and our district. The state has embargoed those graduation rates not to be shared until which night? This night. So you are seeing live, and so the state has not yet released state data. Right, it's out fresh off the presses. So these were put together by Martha a week ago for us to take a look at, but they had to be top secret. But taking a look at those East Jackson and Jackson County High School trends, our teams have done a phenomenal job beginning the work of really finding those summer students who might have been lost, might have been dropped because of attendance or lack of attendance, might have transferred and we didn't have adequate records. And I'd like to just brag on Martha and her team, as well as our high school principals and their teams for tracking students down and finding out where our kids have gone. And sometimes it's just as easy as a phone call to make sure that student did actually become a homeschool student or transfer student or whatever their story might be for those summer graduates. So we were proud to see 97 as our 4-year cohort graduation rate, those students who started as freshmen and graduated in 4 years, and then 96.6 for our 5-year rate for East Jackson. 92.68, which is a little bump over last year for Jackson County High, 93.57 for those 5th-year graduates, and then overall as a district, our first CCRPI graduation rate in 2 years. So that score metric coming back after a COVID lapse at 94.2. Any questions about graduation rate? All right, our next slide is SAT data, and you may have seen last year or last week in the paper, the state did a press release on the fact that Georgia's students continue to outpace the nation for the past, I think it was 5 years, we've outpaced the nation in our students performing on the SAT. So taking a look at these, Martha's broken those down the same way for us. East Jackson, 105 students tested, and our total average score was 1050. The state's average score, 1052, and the nation's 1028. So we well outperformed by several points the nation's score there. And then no definite trends in terms of how we're trending. We are going to continue to encourage our students to take the SAT and the ACT, but also we have at least one of our high schools has a class, actually both of our high schools have an SAT prep course in order to just give those students that experience who are interested in finding ways to increase those scores. Any questions about SAT? The last slide I have for you this evening is lagging data. It is just a refresher from where our ACT trends have been, but current ACT data has not been released by the state, so we don't have a state metric to look at. Those tests continue to be taken at intervals, the last test in September for 22. So data will continue to come in The state will put that together, and I think we can expect that in the next couple of months for ACT data. But just to give you just a reminder of where we were, we don't test nearly as many students overall for the ACT. That's still not quite as popular a test as the SAT is, but definitely targets those students' other types of cognitive skills, that more artsy mind versus the qualitative mind maybe versus the quantitative mind. So a different look for students who want more than one perspective of how they might perform in college for entrance exams. Questions there? I know you do, Bo. I don't mind at all. Right. That's right. So let's talk about what we're doing actionably in order to change the narrative on that. And Dr. Hardigree can speak on this as well because she's heavily involved in this work with our counselors. Our first line of defense in terms of setting a goal is to educate our guidance counselors at each of the high schools. And so they are being trained. We are sending them to conferences and professional development to help them network and make connections with our colleges, local and far out, so that they know what those requirements look like and we can educate ourselves and our families. That's step one. Yeah, I mean, that is an enormous first step, and they have embraced it because they do want to do their work better. They do want to advise students more thoroughly. But yeah, those numbers are daunting if you look at them. The other piece of that, though, is also what we're doing with programmatic building. So increasing the number of students who take advanced placement courses or take IB courses. Or we have spent a lot of time in the past month looking at sequencing of the classes that we offer and removing, and you may hear about this, removing some of those honors levels for students who should be taking a more rigorous path. And part of it is increasing the expectation in everything we ask students to do. You need 4 sciences to graduate, but if you want to go to this college or university, you will take 5. And that's, a non-negotiable in terms of we're counseling and encouraging and advising you because we know what's best for you. So those conversations are happening daily. Yes, sir.
I'll add, we sent our counselors from both high schools, representatives from each team, to the National Association of College Admissions Counseling training a couple weeks ago in Texas. And part of that training was for them to see what college admissions reports look like as far as what each college requires to get in, as well as taking some college visits on some campuses out in Texas, just to give them a different perspective of what different schools look like. Because if we all think back to making the decision to go to college, one of the things that we had somebody advising us, whether that be our parents or our high school counselors or our teachers or mentors, and helping expose us to what colleges are out there and what's available.
And one other piece, just to tag on to that we're working on with our counselor collaboration, and Martha's been a part of this work. We're actually meeting tomorrow, but we've been working to really streamline and collaborate on the advisement and registration process, and also our communication to families, knowing that if you know when your child's in 8th grade that this is their goal and this is what they need to get there, then you as their parents can work together with them to plan that and partner with the school. So we're really working on that communication side of things. Yeah. So Mr. Hooper's going to join us, and we're just going to join forces with all of our high schools and middle schools because, as we know, it starts early. Really, they need to start thinking that way in middle school. It's important work, so thank you for asking that, and we recognize that, and we'll continue working on it. So each month we bring you our enrollment, and again, a shout out to Martha, and thank you, Martha and team, for all of their work on putting this together, and also they've been working so hard this week because it's FTE week, so lots of work in data collection, and we're holding steady in most places. Just a few pieces to note on the enrollment. Our highest enrolling is North Jackson. We know that area is growing like crazy. Most of our schools are staying pretty steady. A little bit of growth there, higher than some. West Jackson, I think, is up about 13. South Jackson had some good growth in the last month. West Jackson Middle continues to grow, and our high schools are holding steady with their strong numbers. So not too much that's surprising there. We know that that just continues. We did add in the free and reduced lunch and the free and reduced percentages there for each school so that you can see that. We've been working hard to really collect and have accurate data, knowing how much that drives, and also wanting to have that support in place for our students. And that will be officially reported to the state in November. So we wanted you to have that information and be able to see that. Any questions about enrollment? All right. And then next up, I wanted to share on behalf of Lisa Stevens a little bit about Legacy Youth Mentoring. I know that you all are fairly familiar with this program, but it's just such an amazing piece to be able to have this in our community, the collaboration in our community, and Lisa Stevens does an amazing job and her whole team of leading this work. But we just wanted to provide some highlights. This has really been a focus as we've started the year of making sure that we are supporting this work, knowing how important this can be in changing the trajectory of a student's life. So there are so many amazing stories as you start listening to the stories of the mentees and their mentors. One of the ones Lisa shared with me just last week was she said that it kind of made everyone's day at Jackson County High School when they looked out, and out on the front lawn was a mentor teaching the young man how to cast a fishing line right out there on the school grounds. So just story after story that we could share about how this is making an impact. But we wanted to also share a little bit about the numbers. This is something that we've added to our balanced scorecard because we really want to see this continue to grow. We know what an impact it makes. So at the start of last school year, we had 125 mentors serving 140 students because a lot of our mentors have more than one student. At the start of this school year, we have 155 mentors serving 180 students. So this is really a great increase. So a few things that might contribute to that. For one thing, Dr. Brown encouraged our district staff to participate as mentors, and we had a great response. And so that has increased a little bit. There was a Legacy Makers Men's Breakfast at the beginning of the year. I had a good response there. Dr. Brown spoke at that as well. We, at open house, every one of our open houses had a Legacy mentoring table with materials. And we actually got a lot of parents who signed up and went to training just based on their experience and walking by that at open house. So that was a great addition as well. And Lisa said that really this year has been the first year in a while that she's had enough mentors to meet all of the needs, so that as a need pops up, they have a mentor there waiting. And this has also been ongoing work that we've been doing with our counselors. Each time we've gotten together, we're talking about how is Legacy mentoring going in your building? Are we making those matches? How are we welcoming our mentors in? Because this is also a big piece of building that community. And when our mentors come into our building, we're inviting them in. We want to make sure that they feel welcome. So we've just really been a kind of collaborative effort to make sure that everything's going well with that. Lisa also wanted me just to share a little bit about the nonprofit work that goes on behind the scenes. She has about a $25,000 budget that supports all of the insurance, the events for the kids, and they also do two $2,000 scholarships, one from East Jackson and one from Jackson County High. So lots of great work with Legacy mentoring, and she wanted you to have just a few little pieces to take with you. So you have a little journal and their flyer, and she is continually recruiting and training. So it is ongoing great work. Any questions about that? Comments?
How are y'all? I would tell Mr. Clarity it's good to be back, but he's not here tonight. So to go off of last month. So I wanted to first take a minute to invite each of you board members. I'll follow this up with an email later tomorrow as well. But on Monday morning, October 17th, Legacy Knoll will get its final piece of steel put up. And they're having a topping out ceremony. You'll be able to sign the piece of steel. Carol Daniel will have breakfast for everybody, and I'll have a nice little ceremony there as we finish the construction on the topping out of our steel. So it's a really great milestone for construction, as we all know. And once the weather starts to turn bad, looks like we'll be free of that, which would be really great. So they wanted to do it during fall break, and they're pretty excited. They waited. They put it off until after fall break for us. So invite you guys all out, and I'll make sure, again, I'll follow up an email with that for you guys. I'd like to also take a minute to thank our communication ambassadors to all of our schools. We work really close with all of our communication ambassadors. They're our media specialists, they're teachers, they're principals, and they do a great job running their school Facebook pages, their school websites, and school newsletters. Our new schools are putting out newsletters every week now, and it's a lot of work. And I really think those individuals should be commended for what they do, and they really they do it so much. They go above and beyond. I meet with them every Thursday, and I'm blown away by what they do and the ways they're polled and how they handle it. So I wanted to give them the praise that they deserve. Also want to take a minute, introduce Miss Sierra Roberts over there. She's our public relations intern. She's an undergraduate from University of North Georgia. This is day 5 for her, and she's doing a great job helping out in the PR and getting out to our schools as well. And so really excited to have her and get some experience for her as well in her undergraduate work. And like I said, day 5, and she's showing that she's going to be a great asset for us. In the world of communications, we have an early release coming up on October 26th. So part of that, we collaborated with all the principals, and unfortunately, due to a lot of the after-school programs being maintained by high school students that day, we would not have after-school programs, so we sent out district-wide communication. We'll do that a few more times to all of our elementary school families ahead of time so they can make plans accordingly, that on October 26th, while our faculty and staff are having parent-teacher conferences, there will be no after-school programs. So we'll have social media graphics that go out after fall break as well. That message will get, again, delivered one or two more times before that day to keep our families informed. That's all I have for you this month. So any questions? Thank you. We're having a lot of fun. The students are having a lot of fun. They're doing a great job. So I will take a break off for fall break next week and get back at it. So thank you. So.
Good evening, board members. We again have another great report as far as finances go. I'm hoping that this continues for the next couple of years before I hit the retirement road. I'd like to be able to continue to bring good news and not have to bring anything that's a little negative. But our SPLOST again was above $1 million, well above $1 million this month, and we have also received a big portion of our state capital outlay reimbursements. And so our SPLOST fund balance now is close to $22 million, which gets us extremely close to the additional expenses that are left on Legacy Knoll. So hoping by the end of the year, December, that with our tax receipts, we will have enough money sitting there in the bank that we just pay cash for Legacy Knoll, and then we can start setting money aside for the new elementary school. So SPLOST is looking great. Then if you want to look at general fund, our fund balance is still very healthy at for this time of the year, because again, we start having to really dip into that fund balance between July, August, September, October until the bulk of our tax revenues start coming in. But it's a little bit lower than it was at this time last year. But you have to keep in mind that our expenses have increased quite significantly with all the new additional mobiles that we've had to have, just addressing growth with personnel and materials and furnishings. But that will be offset when we start receiving our new tax revenue based on our increased digest. So in the next couple of months, that will get back to leveling out where we're used to seeing it. And then overall, now, again, the general fund, the expenses include open purchase orders, which are things that have not been actually paid out yet. So if you remove those items, then we are right in line where we should be at this time of year. We are at 25% of the year completed, and our expenditures are, without the open purchase orders, are right at 25%. So we're right in line with everything. And again, we will start, hopefully in the next month or two, since tax bills are going out this month, we should start seeing some tax revenue come in and see our revenue numbers start increasing. Any questions?
I bring all the exciting news tonight. So it is a pleasure to be here and be able to present some information tonight. Pleased with our operations department. School nutrition's serving good meals every day to our students. A little short-handed, continue to work on that. Our transportation department's getting them to and from school, and our facilities group has provided a little information to bring you some updates on the facility side of things. Appreciate Mr. Patton, Mr. Robinson for getting this information. I believe Mr. Patton's representing us at the football game this afternoon, so he will be back to present our updates in the future, or as planned, but did have that obligation to be there this afternoon. We were certainly happy about that. Just some updates on Legacy Knoll Middle. Construction is going very well. Structural frame, as Mr. Hooper mentioned, is at about 90%. Roofing's begun on the 3-story classroom. You'll see some pictures in just a second. Block wall construction certainly underway. Rough ends are going on throughout the entire building. And that new Skelton Road project is progressing. That the county's, of course, engaged in it. You will see some pictures of it. There's also some pictures posted on the road improvements here as well. So that's going on. We've expedited a switchgear. We recognized in the ordering process that the switchgear for that project was going to be behind. So we were able to find a switchgear and try to replace it out. Did some swapping on that. So I think we're puts us ahead of schedule there. Keep us on time anyway. Also, the furniture, we've got meetings with our furniture outfit that's providing those things. We've got a meeting tomorrow with them. Topping out event is on the 17th. Excited about that opportunity to participate in that, and it'd be great to have everyone there. Got some other things. The rear parking lot's exciting. As you ride by, if you get on site there, when you see that asphalt going down, it changes the look of a construction site. So going on to East Jackson High, the track is just about complete. They've put the markings down. There's a little bit of additional marking that was added, and I'm understanding that was at no cost. It was at a request of our coaches to add some middle school lines or some. I thought the middle schools ran the same as the high schools, but undoubtedly maybe not. I'm not sure exactly what that was about. But our coaches at East were excited about having the opportunity to include some additional lineage on our track, and were able to do that at no additional charge. So got a lot going on there. The waiting for some purchased items at the football field, which I understand were some end zone pylons that were marked with our Eagles logo on them. So we're kind of getting a little fancy, and I'm that's excited about that. Bring a little school pride. So just to kind of keep in mind the other projects that we're working on in facilities that are being planned. We've got some playground improvements at Maysville Elementary. Been working on that really since the beginning of the summer, and excited about that kind of finally coming together. Furniture, media center furniture at East Middle should be complete around Christmas. So we're looking forward to that. Got some baseball and softball backstops at East Jackson High. Repainting the gym floors at East Jackson High School and East Jackson Middle School are on the agenda. If you can imagine, everybody's repainting floors right now, so we got a little bit behind the 8 ball there, but we intend to have that done as soon as possible. I know I talked with Mr. Robinson earlier in the week, and he's reached out to some contractors to get that expedited. So we also got a new greenhouse project here at Empower, kind of looking at different locations for that to make sure it's optimized and able to get everything straight there, and it serves the needs of our students. So those are the facilities updates. Any questions on that? Yes, sir. The plan, Doc, you want to talk on that a little bit?
I do. Currently, we have a chain link fence between dugout to dugout, and looking at putting a knee-high wall with netting to protect our fans, but also to enhance both of those facilities. We hadn't finalized it with the coach yet.
I think it's on the list of things for us to look into. I know we're getting prices and seeing, you know, how we can move forward with it. Got a couple of items for information to bring before the board tonight. First item is just for an informational purposes. In the September board meeting, the item was brought before the board to allow us to negotiate with an architectural firm for a new K-5 facility to be built on Highway 332. We were able to engage the conversation with Southern A&E, who has constructed, did the design work at our high school project and is also working on our Legacy Knoll Middle School project. We were able to negotiate a really good rate with that group. We felt very pleased with that number. So we have moved forward with that agreement to sign a contract with Southern A&E. They are working up that agreement at this time. Of course, we'll pass that through our legal services to review before we are able to sign that. But we have come to terms with a number with that firm. This will, allow some consistency on the projects on that one site to be designed in a similar manner, and we're excited about that. Any questions about architectural firm and that selection process? Very good. Next item for information is our advertisement for CM services for the new K-5 on Highway 332. At the September board meeting, the board agreed to allow us to do a construction delivery method of construction management at risk. And we moved forward with this project. Once again, as we met with our architectural design firm, we've had 2 meetings at this time with that group. In the initial phases, we felt it was very important to go ahead and get a CM on board so they can negotiate and value engineer the next that project. I think the sooner we get to two groups around the table, better off we're going to be in the long run. So we have moved forward with placing a bid, advertising for those services on the Georgia Procurement Registry. We placed that bid on October 3rd. Earlier this week, it was due back to us on November 1st. We've got a timeline to meet with a committee. Mr. Patton will head up that group. It will be a committee to oversee the receiving of those bids and awarding that project. Hopefully, we'll have that process completed before the November board meeting. That's our intent, to bring that before you at that meeting. Any questions on that? Very good. Next item is exciting. These are our proposed attendance lines. We want to bring this forth at this time for your all's review and for the public's review. We're basically going to sit this out for 30 days for public comment, if we can say it that way. We have formed a committee to review the rezoning options. This committee is made up of our system administrators on the west side, made up of Mr. Eastler here at Empower, Ms. Dundor, Dr. Hardegree, Mr. Hooper, Mr. Farmer, and Mr. Holtzclaw with the Transportation Department, because that's certainly an important part of this process. Mr. Patton, we brought the athletic director at West Jackson High into this group as well. I believe that's got them. Our West Side administrators, Dr. Wester, Dr. Conway, Mr. Johnson, Ms. Ellis, Ms. King, I believe are part of that group. They've been very helpful as we've discussed this process, and these committee members will serve as a liaison to the communities on the West Side to bring back information as this is put on the street for the community to review. And we're excited about that. Before I go further, I need to give a tremendous shout out and a thank you to Miss Martha. She did a great job getting our information to the GIS clerks at the county. Joe Logan and Steve Cumbridge, they are tremendous to work with. Had been told by Mr. Patton and Mr. Mr. Farmer many times how easy they were and how helpful they've been in the past, and they've certainly come through again. But that collaboration was with Miss Martha, and the information she provided was really a smooth operation, and it just worked out well for us. So I got a big thanks to all that group. It was important for the committee as we looked at the number of students who are living in districts, number of students we're serving in those areas. Basically, it was important to keep as many existing lines as possible. Thought that was a key to this. We were trying to use state highways as boundaries as much as possible. And so by using the current addresses of all of our student population, K-12, we were able to get some baseline attendance numbers. As the lines are drawn in the 2 middle school districts where we're planning to redistrict, and we're proposing these districts attendance lines to come into effect in 2023, so for next school year, the numbers, Moses, I didn't write them down. Let me tell you what the numbers were. I can't believe I didn't write them down. Maybe I did. But anyway, I don't see them here in front of me. The numbers came out to be about around approximately 800 students at West Jackson Middle and about 694 at the new middle school. So we've cut that 1,500 number down to 800 and 700. It was a tough act because we were trying to balance elementary numbers and middle school numbers. And as we shifted lines, many times it shifted our middle school numbers tremendously one way or the other. So that was a balance in the act we had to kind of play with a little bit. But they came out fairly even, so we were kind of excited about those numbers. If you look at a 8% or a 10% growth, both of those facilities should have capacity for the next 4 to 5 years to handle that growth as we're looking at those numbers. So just to kind of as a FYI, we did analyze the housing permits throughout the county, and especially on the west side. We continue to see housing developments. As you all ride through that west side community, we certainly see things coming out of the ground. And we're aware of that. It's very hard to come up with numbers of how that equates to students. But we believe we've done due diligence to get all the information that we have forward to have these lines and present it to the public for review. So with that, one of the biggest topics of conversation with our public that we've gotten comment-wise has been the road construction. What are we going to do about Skelton Road, and what are we going to do about Highway 332? So as this group met, we wanted to make sure we were very transparent. We can go to that next couple slides. We were very transparent with where we're going with these lines. With the construction of New Skelton Road and Highway 332. Those traffic patterns are very difficult on 332 because we do not have any XL, decel lanes, no turning lanes. As we begin school year next year, if this is a state and county project, but we anticipate this work being done next summer, completed for the beginning of next school year. So it's very exciting to have that completed, and we believe that will alleviate a lot of the traffic congestions at those intersections. So we'll just want to make sure we put that out there. Just to kind of give you, if we can back up, Jeffrey, a couple slides. I did skip over a little bit. This is our event timeline. Of course, we're presenting this tonight, proposing the middle school attendance zones for this next year. We also are presenting attendance zones for our elementary schools that will begin the following year as the new K-5 is constructed and completed. So just as an event timeline, tomorrow we're meeting with our staff at our West Jackson Middle, and then the 3 middle schools on the west, 3 elementary schools on the west side. So we'll spend our day tomorrow presenting to the staff plans. We plan to have public meetings. We'll have a parent advisory committee on the 24th. We also have school council meetings on the 19th. Those are afternoon meetings at 6 p.m. So our attendance zone committee will meet again on November 7th, and our plan will be to bring back these lines for a vote in the November board meeting. Okay, so that's a lot of information. I think Dr. Hardigree is going to talk just a little bit. Any questions about those proposed lines? I know this information's been distributed, and I think it's out there for public review, or will be out there later tonight. So we welcome questions and comments and input from the public. I've been very clear. I'm that guy that wants to open the doors and hear the information. If there's ideas out there, we would like them on the table so that we can sort through that. The 124 side? Yeah. I would have to, that's going to be a county, state highway, DOT. I understand we are trying to get some work done on there, on that side as well. And I know we're working with the Sheriff's Department to kind of consider traffic control there. So. In that area. I understand, and that's over by Gum. You've got the Gum traffic coming out and the West Middle traffic coming out on 124. Hopefully, by mitigating our start and end times as well, we're gonna help some of those traffic congestion problems and issues at both sides. We've been trying to analyze 332 to help with that congestion. I've been out there several days, and I view it, if we don't get turn lanes on 332, it's a very difficult intersection. As Skelton gets bigger, as that construction finishes, we feel like that's going to improve. That's on that end of the road for sure. We'll continue. I think traffic control, if we can XL, decel lanes on 124 would be very helpful as well. We'll continue to analyze that. Thank you.
And so I wanted to just share a few updates to our personnel timeline, which we've shared with you. I think we have a slide for this. If keep moving forward in the presentation. There we go. So we did, just to streamline everything, we originally had letters of intent or transfer requests going out to West Middle first and then following with the entire district. And we decided to just streamline those two dates. And so we'll be sending out those letters of intent or preference requests for placement on November 14th, just recognizing that we have a lot of work to do. So we're just going to go ahead and send all of those out at once. That way we'll know anybody across the district that may want to transfer to Legacy Knoll. So that was one change to the personnel timeline. Other than that, I think we're moving along as scheduled. We have posted for that principal position, so that's exciting. So we will continue to work through that and plan to follow this, and we'll be sharing this with staff for the first time at those schools that are impacted tomorrow. So we just wanted to make sure that you had this in front of you. And then we've also worked through a little bit of our personnel process. If you'll move to the next slide there. We've sought counsel from some of our districts who are also growing quickly and may have had to open new schools and split schools. So we've really been working through this process, trying to think about how we can ensure just a smooth personnel timeline and process for our staff. So again, we'll be sharing this with our impacted staffs tomorrow. So just a few pieces in here. All staff requesting a transfer to Legacy Knoll will go through an interview process. That principal will be in place. There will be collaboration between both of our middle school principals at that point. So we anticipate that just being a very collaborative process to build balanced teams at both schools. But that will begin with that transfer process, followed by an interview process. For any staff member requesting a transfer to an existing school, it'll look just a little bit different. So we'll really kind of handle Legacy Knoll first, obviously going through the volunteer transfer process first. Should there be a need for reassignment that's not voluntary, we've put in here that we will look at several data points, including continuous years employed by Jackson County Schools in any capacity, certificate level, endorsements, fields, as well as school needs. We actually added in there, I think, after we pulled this into your presentation, but we also want our staff to know that we will be working collaboratively to build very balanced teams at both schools. So school need and student need always drives all of those decisions. So again, this is the process that we'll share tomorrow, and just continue to work through all of the pieces with supporting the personnel side. Any questions or thoughts? And again, we always welcome your input on this as well. All right, and we'll probably get some great questions and thoughts from our staffs tomorrow. We're excited to take it out on the road tomorrow. It is. Yes, ma'am. Correct. Yes. And we just want to make sure that we're really able to work through that voluntary transfer process first, recognize what needs are there so that we can still be in a good place for our principals to hire early, because we want to always get out there first and attract the very best. So that is our plan, is just to work through each of those pieces a little bit earlier in anticipation of that. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for that. And I want to shout out, it's very much a team effort. Miss Todd is sitting right over here, and we've worked very collaboratively on that. And we actually met with somebody today to help kind of guide us. So just really very much of a team effort. And what we want to do tomorrow is just really reassure our staff. There's always, change brings those questions. So we want to be very reassuring that there'll be a good process and we'll all work together through it.
Thank you all.